Powered by MPB, this is Chalkboard Chat, an MPB education podcast. To hear this episode and more, visit education.mpbonline.org or download the MPB Public Media app to listen on your iPhone or Android device.
Hello today. I am Dr. Tara Y. Wren, host of Chalkboard Chat, where we talk about all things education. Welcome to this episode, which is part of a series where I talk to state and community leaders about student groups they lead. These groups help students become more knowledgeable about their communities and others. They help students develop crucial leadership skills, spark entrepreneurial mindsets, learn how to engage with a diverse group of people and students, and they learn so many other valuable skills. And I am very excited about this series. And today, I'm super excited to be talking to Mississippi's Secretary of State, Michael Watson. Secretary Watson grew up here in Mississippi. He understands the culture of our great state, and he knows how important it is to get students civically engaged. So today, I will talk to him about his Student Ambassador Program. Welcome, Secretary Watson, to Chalkboard Chat.
Hey, it's great to be with you. Honored to be on this morning.
Yes. So we'll jump right in. Class is now in session. So just give me a short overview of the Student Ambassador Program.
Yeah, so really quickly, we started this. Last year was our first class. We had 56 high school seniors from around the state, and it was really born out of a conversation aware of the Girl State program. We had a conversation with the 8 statewide elected officials from Girl State a couple of years ago, and it kind of got into, what can y'all do to help us with voter registration, to get involved with elections in Mississippi? And from there, kind of grew to, this is a great opportunity to reach our seniors in high school, get them involved in elections, let them understand how Mississippi government works. And lastly, and probably most importantly, is try to be a mentor to our best and brightest to make sure that they're staying in Mississippi, growing their careers and, having their families here and being successful in Mississippi. And a lot of what we have seen is folks sometimes just need one little connection or one group of friends that can help challenge them and motivate them to do good things. So that's kind of a quick overview of how it got started. And this year, we actually grew our program. We're at 67 students. So it's going to be a fun year. And we start that actually tomorrow with our first Zoom meeting. And then we'll have 2 in-persons this year in Jackson, one in the fall, one in the spring. And we're adding 2 in-persons this year from what we did last year. And these additional 2, one will be in Oxford and then one will be here on the coast. So really excited about it and looking forward to spending time with these beautiful and bright students.
Well, I think that is awesome. I just really support student groups. I'm from Port Gibson, Mississippi. I was a part of one when I was growing up. There's just so much value in it. And like you said, it ingrains you and you make that one connection. And I'm forever connected to them in that way and to our state. It has made me want to stay here in Mississippi. So that's
no doubt about it.
That is so awesome. I heard you use that word mentorship. So this is a great mentorship opportunity, just kind of giving back in a big way. Tell me about a mentor that you might have had growing up that maybe inspired you to do this.
So I was lucky enough, fortunate enough, blessed enough to intern with Senator Trent Lott when I was a junior in college at Ole Miss, and was able to go up to D.C. and spend some time with him. And he's obviously not from Pascagoula, but grew up in Pascagoula, and I'm from Pascagoula. So I followed his career as I was growing up and always thought, man, that's pretty cool. A guy from Pascagoula doing those good things. And so we connected and went to the same high school, went to the same college, and had a lot of things, similar that we'd experienced in our lives. And so I got to be good friends. And he was always willing to take my phone calls or text messages or sit down and visit with me when he was in town and just pour into me. And so I always remember that. And the second one, I would tell you, really wasn't as much of a mentor as it was just an occasion that challenged me to do the same thing. I remember when I was in 6th grade, I was in our gifted program back in Pascagoula, and we had an attorney come, and he spent time with us talking about practicing law, what it meant to be an attorney. And I remember thinking how excited I was that an actual real live attorney was there in the classroom with us that I could talk to and ask how much money he made and all those crazy questions you want to know when you're young.
Yeah.
But that really always stayed with me. And I reminded myself, hey, look, people like Jimmy Calmer who care enough to come spend their time with us to really give us an introduction to a career here that we could have in Mississippi. I want to do that when I grow up. So I always remember that occasion. And so those are kind of some of the things that really reminded me, hey, you know what? You had this experience when you were young. You need to return and pay it back to the people of Mississippi and give these students an opportunity to have the same experience you did.
That is awesome. You get a gold star for doing that. Absolutely. Well, tell me, the Student Ambassador Program, what are the main goals for the students who participate?
Yeah, so it's really three things. The first thing that we try to do is make sure we teach them about elections. How do elections work in Mississippi? What's the process? What's the law? And then we cap that off with making sure that they are engaged in doing voter registration drives in their high schools. It's a really cool part of the program there. The second piece is, how does Mississippi government work in general? So we bring them to the Capitol, as I mentioned before. The second visit is in January, and we get them to meet with legislators. Last year, they got to talk to the lieutenant governor and several senators, and I got to kind of see the process from the inside, which is really cool for them. And then the third piece, again, as I mentioned before, is that mentorship. And one of the things that we try to do is really engage them with speakers from around the state, with career opportunities from around the state. One of my favorite ones last year, we had lunch at the Jackson event, and Chevron came and hosted the event and basically told them, hey, look, here are all the careers that you could have right here in Pascagoula, Mississippi, where you don't have to leave the state.
Right.
Coming out making these type figures, and these are the types of things that you can do and the experiences that you can have. And again, it's geared at making sure our best and brightest understand their opportunities right here at home. You don't have to leave to have a great career, to have a wonderful and beautiful family that you can raise here in Mississippi. So those are kind of the three components that we try to do. And then lastly, what I tell them is, look, you can go to college. I would love for you to stay in Mississippi, but that's fine. You can go out of state. My question to them is, and my challenge to them is, look, if you think that the opportunity that you want, the career that you want, doesn't exist in Mississippi, my one request is that you'll at least call me and ask me, hey, when I graduate college, this is what I want to do. Is there an opportunity somewhere around Mississippi? And so again, it's making sure they understand we care. I want them to come to Mississippi. I want to make sure that they've got the advantage of having that relationship where I can introduce them to people that may lead to a beautiful career and great relationships. So I'm really excited about the program, and I love what we did last year, and it's only going to get better. Obviously, we're doing more students this year, and it's only going to get bigger. So we're looking forward to this class.
Well, that is such great exposure to employers here in Mississippi and opportunities here. You spoke about the class growing from 50-something to 67 ambassadors this year. What is the criteria for students to become an ambassador?
So we've got our rising juniors. We send out the application. The application process obviously goes through a bunch of different questions and then writing samples, and then they get recommendations. So we've got a group, it's not me, but a group that goes through all of those applications and make sure that they score them and gets the top number. And it was really hard. How do you find a number that you can cut off to think that, we want as many students as we can to have this opportunity. But again, we're limited in the resources and the folks that we have to run this program. So we did grow it a little bit this year because we saw how fun and engaging and I think rewarding the program was last year, and wanted to just grow that a little bit to bring even more students in. So hopefully we can continue to grow this. We're going to be reaching out just like we did last year. We send out applications, the process to all of our legislators, to educators around the state to make sure that people are aware of this, and really got some bright folks that are coming in this year as well. So looking forward to it.
Is there a cutoff? There's a deadline each year?
There is. It's in the spring. I think this year ours is either in May or June. We sent out a news release and let everybody know that they had been selected. So again, our first Zoom is tomorrow. So we start that early on. And then this fall will be 2 in-person meetings. And then obviously in the spring, there'll be 2 more in-person meetings.
Absolutely. Well, I do keep up with you guys on social media.
Good.
Really good job there. Since this is a relatively new program, what are some other successes that you plan to build on? You talked about the attendance, but as far as the resources will allow or participation, what else will you build on?
Yeah, so we've looked at a couple things. How do we get some possible corporate buy-in to this? I mentioned Chevron before. We've been talking to C-Spire and some others, where eventually I hope to maybe one day grow this into some type of a scholarship program as well, where we get some of these folks that can compete for money to stay in Mississippi schools or to use wherever they're going to school. But also maybe the opportunity to do some internships with some of these companies. So it's really just exposing these young Mississippians to what's available and what's possible here in Mississippi. So possibly some type of scholarship program, internship program. But at the end of the day, it really is all about building those relationships and making sure they understand we care, we want to help, we want to make sure that you have bright futures, and you can do that right here in Mississippi.
Absolutely. Now, do you have an internship program there?
We do. We actually have interns right now. We have them at the Secretary of State's office, but the program I'm talking about specifically with ambassadors is maybe building that out to some of our corporate friends around the state. They can have those experiences as well. So we have interns in our office every year. So we do that already, but I want to grow this thing even bigger to have these opportunities for folks that, just like me, growing up in Pascagoula, Mississippi, I didn't have a whole lot of political connections, really none at all. It was just hard work and had a great family that pushed me to do good things and try to challenge myself to grow and meet new people. And so if you can do that, and I remember, Boise State. I went to Boise State myself and still have some of my closest friends who were in Boise State with me way back when.
Yeah.
But those relationships that were built starting then, and then the Chancellor's Leadership class at Ole Miss, those are the folks that you want to get to know that are going to be in leadership positions for years to come. And that's what we're talking about with this group of 67 bright high school seniors. And the more that you can get them to engage with each other from different parts of the state, you're building that leadership team that's going to be moving into the future as well.
Absolutely. And you talk about your own success and those connections and what they meant to you. But do you have a success story, perhaps? And you may have many. Can you share one of the success stories of a student who maybe from last year that you can share with us a little bit?
Keith Carter, the athletic director at Ole Miss, spoke at one of our Zoom events. And Keith's got a phenomenal story, just a great leader here in Mississippi. I can't remember if he's an ambassador or not, but I was able to connect a couple of students with him to try to get a job when they went to Ole Miss in the athletic department. So it's little things like that may not seem like a really big deal. But if you've got a high school senior that's really excited about maybe a career in athletics, maybe wants to be an athletic director one day, oh my gosh, you just got to sit down and have a conversation with the athletic director at Ole Miss. We had Senator Trent Lott come. We had Senator Roger Wicker. I could go down the list of folks that came and spoke to them. But again, it's that opportunity to have that question and answer period with them, have that connectivity, and then us being able to reach out and say, hey, look, so-and-so's looking for a job here. Is there a way that you may have something open for them to do? And then all of a sudden a career is launched. So it's a really cool opportunity to have to connect these folks with hopefully bright careers and futures.
Absolutely. And my last question is, one of your responsibilities is to help the business sector in Mississippi. How do you see those businesses benefiting from starting student mentorship programs within their own businesses? And would you encourage that and why?
1,000%. Again, I think it's our job as elected officials. We work for the people of Mississippi. So the opportunities that we can have to help individuals connect with these business leaders to grow great careers, I love that. I love that opportunity that we do have. But I would say that to our corporate friends as well. Look, you're doing a great job and great work here in Mississippi. Why would you not want to build relationships with these future leaders of our state? Great opportunity for not just the students that are coming in, but for businesses also looking at this group of 67 of the best and brightest to come in and speak to them, to come in and maybe offer some types of internships. So really excited about that. But again, having that opportunity to build those relationships is something I do not take for granted. And I'm really excited about that through the Ambassador Program.
Well, that is awesome. Secretary, did I miss a question that said, hey, she should have asked me then? Did I miss asking you something about?
I don't think so. Okay. I think we covered it pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you did a good job.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you, Secretary Watson, for sharing with me today about the Student Ambassador Program. It is such an awesome responsibility to help raise the next generation of leaders, and I know you know that. As busy as you are, you take time to invest in Mississippi's youth with the hope of cultivating public servants and leaders. I have no doubt that you are doing just that. Thank you so much for what you do for our great state and for your leadership. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Enjoy this moment. Take care.
Class is now dismissed.
You've been listening to Chalkboard Chat, an MPB education podcast. To hear this episode and more, visit education.mpbonline.org or download the MPB Public Media app to listen on your iPhone or Android device. This podcast is hosted with love by ACAST.
Thank you for tuning in. Before you go, please be sure to leave a positive review for Chalkboard Chat and subscribe to be the first to know when a new episode releases. See you next time.